Hi everyone, welcome back to Atrium Research's YouTube channel. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Daniel Henao, the President and CEO of Mineros S.A, which trades on the TSX under the symbol MSA, on the OTCQX under the symbol MNSAF, and on the Colombian Stock Exchange under the symbol Mineros. We initiated coverage on Mineros back in June 2025. So just under a year ago, and we've been fortunate enough to follow the story throughout the year as the company's performed superbly over that period. We currently have a buy rating and an $11 per share target price on the company, and we've got Daniel here to talk about all the updates. So Daniel, great to have you here today.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here today to tell everyone more about Mineros S.A. This is a very interesting gold producer, one that most investors have never heard about. We produced last year 230,000 ounces gold equivalent. And it is surprising to see that still most of the North American investors have never heard about Mineros. So yeah, lots of updates, lots of things to discuss in this conversation.
Absolutely. And that's what we're here to do today, is to sort of shine a light on that and bring it to the North American capital markets a little bit more. So maybe with that, Daniel, for the viewers that don't know the story as well as I do, maybe you can give us a 3 to 5 minute overview of the company, your assets, and then we'll get into some more specific questions in a moment.
Absolutely, thanks. So as I mentioned, Mineros is a a very traditional producer. It's a 50-year-old company. Its two producing assets, Nicaragua and Colombia, have been in production for over a century, each of them. But everything is changing at Mineros. The company just went public in 2021 in TSX. It has been public for decades in Colombia, but it was a local story, very well known, great reputation in local markets. But it's a pretty new, novel story for most of the North American audience. Everything is changing at Mineros. In 2024, we started having a major investor, Sun Valley Investment, coming in and really changing everything in Mineros, from management teams, technical teams, putting a lot of effort into operations to build the best version of Mineros, get this story out. And I think that we're being rewarded, and Mineros shareholders are being rewarded with the impressive results that we've been having. So two very solid operations in Colombia and in Nicaragua that have been producing for centuries, decades of shareholder returns. So the impressive track record, returning value to the people that trust in us, and now a very aggressive growth agenda and operational optimizations in everything that we do. So that's in a nutshell what Mineros is, and I would love to dig deeper in different parts of our business.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we'll get into the shareholder returns, as you mentioned, in a moment, but maybe diving into the producing assets in particular, maybe you could tell us a little bit about the Nechi project in Colombia, and then we'll dive into Hemco, but let's talk about Nechi for a minute. So what is the asset? What does the production look like? And then, we'll talk about the future and the growth in a minute, but maybe just on current operations as it stands.
Perfect. Thanks, Ben. Yes. So our Colombian asset is a very unique asset. It's one that has been in production, as I mentioned, since 1890s. So over a century of production records. Very stable, and it's a unique operation. It's an alluvial mine. It does not happen along the river, but on the side of the river. And it's a very well-defined resource, drilled out. It's all 43-101 compliant. SLR does our 43-101s. And then the way it works is that we drill in the north. We do all the preparation work, and then we build a pit that is actually flooded. So instead of trucking the ore out as a normal open pit, we're actually pumping through dredging infrastructure, we're pumping the ore, and then through gravimetric means, we recover all the gold, so we don't use any chemicals. And then as we move north, we start doing all the closure. For every hectare that we intervene, we compensate about 10 hectares. So at the end of the day, the operation is very clean from an environmental point of view. It does not happen along the river, but next to it, on the side of it. All our dredging infrastructure is powered by our own hydroelectrics. So it's a low cost, very efficient operation, very predictable. We've been mining there for many, many decades, and it's just a reliable, profitable operation. Right now, we have 1 million ounces in reserves, about an extra million ounces in resources, and that's more or less what the company has had for decades. So our expectation is, as we move north, the operation is always moving north. We will be replacing the ounces that we mine, and we expect this to continue being a very longevity operation, one that lasts for many, many years.
Amazing. Thank you for that overview. And we'll talk about the sort of future growth as you and I discussed last week. But going to Hemco, maybe you can talk about the mining operations there, and then yeah, we'll dive into the growth initiatives.
Absolutely. So in Hemco, that's the Nicaraguan operation, we have about 450,000 hectares in mining properties, 150 of which are mining concessions, where we're actually are producing and very actively exploring. The remaining of that is its application. We want to grow. We want to grow aggressively in Nicaragua because of what we're seeing. This is a district that has produced close to 10 million ounces of gold, more than 20 million ounces of silver, a lot of copper. So it's a very prolific and historic mining district, and it's pretty much unexplored. It is surprising to see a district of this level of production record to be so ignored from an exploration perspective. So we're seeing a lot of opportunities in our Nicaraguan operations. We produce there are about 140 million ounces of gold equivalent. We have developed a very profitable and inclusive business model that we call the Bonanza mining partnership, and it's basically a way to collaborate and cooperate with local miners that are present in this district, and then develop like a positive business model where they are thriving, the company itself is thriving, and the government itself has a very active role. So it's a very positive ecosystem. And then on top of that, we have our own industrial mines, where we want to grow aggressively this 2026. Historically, the company has given priority to the Bonanza mining partners. The company has always been constrained by processing capacity, which is, it's incredible. But it was it was a profitable operation. It was doing okay. So previous administrations and the previous view of the company was just to, run things efficiently, but not really, push hard on a growth agenda there. We're seeing that there's a lot of potential in Nicaragua, so we are debottlenecking the operation at different levels. We can talk about it later, but that's it in a nutshell. 140,000 ounces, more or less, in total production, and very exciting exploration targets. There's mineral all over the place, excellent grades, excellent widths, so lots of potential in Nicaragua.
Great. And just before we move on from that, roughly 2/3 of that 140,000 ounces of production is from the Bonanza model, and then the other 1/3 is from your internal operations.
Yes, and the reason for that is that, as I mentioned before, we're being constrained by processing capacity. So it's a bit of a ridiculous situation where we're telling our mines, like, okay, this year you have to produce less. So it makes no sense. We're fixing that. this year we're telling our miners full steam ahead. Let's mine the ore and we will process it. Don't worry about the processing constraints. We're fixing that. Let's go full steam ahead. So our own mines are accelerating production. We're gonna see. We're guiding more production this year in Nicaragua, and I'm sure we'll perform very well. So we're going full steam ahead in our own mines, and we're going full steam ahead with our Bonanza mining partners as well.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, we'll dive in all those different initiatives as you mentioned, but and forgive me for not giving you the floor to introduce yourself, but you are relatively new into the CEO role. So maybe you can give the viewers, a couple minutes on your past, and then your relationship with Mineros over the last handful of years, and then getting into the appointment of the CEO role here.
Sure. Thank you, Ben. So I just joined as CEO of Mineros in the last quarter of 2025. So fairly new as CEO, but before then I was at the board of Mineros for about 2 years. And before then, I used to lead the corporate development initiatives for Sun Valley Investments for more than 10 years, looking for investment opportunities throughout the globe with impressive results on the Sun Valley side. And then directly with Mineros, around 2023, we started identifying Mineros as a super interesting, exciting target, super undervalued. So doing all the due diligence in the world. So I got to know Mineros quite well, initially from the outside, wearing the Sun Valley hat for about a year, understanding the operations and building, the agenda, what we would do if we were shareholders and active shareholders of Mineros, and then in a much more direct role. So now is the time to implement all the things that we identified during due diligence with an amazing team. With everything, as I mentioned, everything is changing in Mineros. So there's new management, there's new technical teams, a new growth vision. We will continue honoring, the legacy of dividends and shareholder return in that perspective. But we also want to, look at the future and have a strong growth agenda. We want to be global players. We no longer want to be a very important Colombian company. We want to be in the mining space in general.
Amazing. No, and that's where, I imagine, given the way that the business has run over the last, 10, 15, 20 years, that there's a lot of low-hanging fruit to make those improvements. So let's dive into that. 2026, you're on board. It sounds like there's a whole bunch of initiatives that you've already kicked off. Maybe you can dive into a handful of those for us today, with the two producing assets, and then we could also dive into your other development projects, which obviously will bring some new production online at some point in the future.
Sounds great. So we are at $5,000 an ounce, gold environment, which is amazing. So we are focused right now in delivering fast ounces to the company. So our focus right now are in initiatives that can deliver immediate ounces. So we're seeing that mostly in Nicaragua at the moment. So the agenda is basically very focused at the processing, at our processing plant, the Hemco processing plant, where we are working on volumes. So we're going from 1,800 tons per day to 2,500 tons per day. So that's about 40% more tonnage that we expect to achieve in 2026. So that's volume. We've been putting a lot of work into recoveries. We were recovering about 87% of the gold that we were processing, and a significant additional portion in silver. But let's focus on gold. So we were at 87%. Already we are at 90%. That is amazing. The impact of higher recoveries goes straight to the bottom line because we paid for the mining costs, we paid for the processing costs. So that's just extra profit. So volume, recoveries, and then third, we're putting a lot of focus in grade. And that connects to our own mines. So being very cautious about things like dilution, having a very smart mine plan, prioritizing, smart mine development, high grades, investing in our mines, uh, and then creating the appropriate incentives so we start seeing the high grade that our district has to offer through the Bonanza Mining Partners. Um, we are already seeing that. We are removing historical barriers for these high grade ores to be delivered to our plant, and incentivizing the miners that can produce these high grades. They are starting to deliver mineral that is not denominated in grams per ton but ounces per ton. So it's super exciting what we're seeing. That is now guiding our exploration teams, which, by the way, there's been tremendous additions to the team. I can talk about that later. But now we're going and chasing these areas, and these high grade ores being delivered to our mines are guiding our exploration initiatives. So we have the an incredible opportunity there where we have thousands of samples being delivered to our facilities every single day, coming from all parts of our district. And yes, historically, that's been a very profitable business, one that makes good money. But now we're harvesting the information as well. We're treating our Bonanza mining partners as mining partners, but also as super smart geos that are helping us understand the potential that we have in our district.
Amazing. So a handful of initiatives going on right now that I imagine, like you
Yeah,
said, will have an impact on 2026 production numbers,
exactly.
right? You guys,
Yes.
you
So exactly. So volume, recoveries, and grade. That's the priority in Nicaragua. In Colombia, we are also investing a lot in improving recoveries. That's one low hanging fruit in Colombia. We're seeing potential there, but also starting to work and do all the engineering, all the prep work. So hopefully we start building a aggressive growth agenda similar to the one we have in Nicaragua. So we're not staying quiet in Colombia either.
hmm hmm No, that's fantastic. And then maybe thinking a bit more long term, um, the Porvenir development project in Nicaragua, maybe you can touch on that asset. Where does it stand today? And then obviously, there's a sort of a pathway to production with that asset, so we can dive into that.
Yeah, perfect. So Porvenir is just southwest of our current mines, the ones that are in production. So we have a ton of infrastructure. We have a great team there. We have people that have built mines already there, ready to start. So that's hopefully our next mine. The latest technical study that we released for Porvenir was back in 2023. That was a PFS. It was already looking attractive at $1,500 gold price. Now, of course, at these gold price environments, we think it's going to be a great project. And just to give you an idea of what it was back then, it was a mine that would produce about 60,000 ounces of gold, that would produce about 110, 120,000 ounces of silver, and then it would have also a zinc component. So it was looking as a polymetallic mine. Um, we're seeing also a lot of potential there on the copper. So the new layout that we're working on is going to have also a copper component. So we're thinking in adding a flotation circuit that will produce copper gold concentrates at the beginning, and then it will continue to a similar process that we had envisioned at the beginning of this asset, where we will do whole ore leaching, so produce doré, and then produce a polymetallic concentrate, flood con, that would have zinc, would have lead, would have silver, and then would have some gold as well. So it's a super exciting project. Back then, the all-in sustaining cost that we had for this project was below $1,000 an ounce. So it was looking very attractive. There's been a ton of inflation pressure in our industry, but the gold price more than compensates for that. So we will update our technical study that's going to come out in the first quarter of 2026, together with the update on the resource of the entire Nicaragua operation. So it's going to be there, and hopefully it will become a construction decision very, very soon, so we can take advantage of these gold prices with Porvenir project.
Exactly, and that'll be sort of a leg up, right? You guys, in terms of production, have been very steady over the last 10 years, roughly in and around 200,000 ounces. Projects like these can actually start to show investors that you do have growth on the horizon beyond the sort of internal growth initiatives that you just listed. Um, so then let's move to Chile. That's a project that you've owned for a little while, but you recently announced um, the acquisition of the full project. I believe it was back in September. So this is La Pepa. Can you touch on that project and where that stands today?
Absolutely. So La Pepa is in the northern Chile, in the Maricunga Gold District. So it's the asset is surrounded by producing mines, advanced development project. Immediate to us is the Phoenix mine, owned by Rio 2, that just went into production a couple of months ago. So we're starting at a very good base, with 2 million ounces in resources. We're going to be investing in exploration. We're going to be investing in de-risking the project, doing all the prep work, particularly environmental work. So we start understanding what sort of mine we could build there. We have a pretty good idea already. I mean, we're seeing what's happening just immediately north to us at the Phoenix mine, from Rio 2. So it's sort of like a benchmark, what they're doing. We think we can do something similar. A lot of exploration potential there as well, and it's just a great jurisdiction. It's a country that understands mining, that knows the benefits. So it's good to expand to Chile. As you mentioned, we acquired that 80% from Pan American Silver just a few months ago. We thought it was at attractive terms. We paid $40 million for that. It's coming with 2 million ounces, and it's just a nice project for us and our pipeline.
Absolutely. And I mean, looking at the Phoenix project there, this is a jurisdiction that you can get into production at a pretty low cost relative to some other jurisdictions. So I imagine, as this project develops, it could be another great sort of growth initiative for you guys. Um, Okay, fantastic. Lots of catalysts for investors to look forward to over the coming years, particularly Porvenir with that updated PFS coming this quarter, so within the next 45 days. Um, in terms of shareholder returns, the company's been a dividend payer for quite some time. So can you just touch on the historic dividend, what your plans are going forward? Obviously, you guys are going to be investing more in growth, but maybe you can just touch on that for investors.
Absolutely. So this has been a very strong dividend play. That's basically Mineros' brand, particularly to Colombian and Latin American investors. In the last 5 years, the company has distributed about $145 million to investors, mostly in dividend format. Last year, 2025, we paid $30 million in dividends, and we launched our inaugural buyback program, where we bought back 12 million dollars worth of Mineros stock. That was also a great addition to the mix. But also, we're investing in our business, and we're doing that is also returning impressive results. So in 2025 alone, our share price had a 275% performance. We were recognized as a TSX 30 company. So we outperformed 98% of all issuers in Toronto, in Canada, sorry, in the Toronto Stock Exchange. And we were number one in Colombia. and we've been doing that consistently. That was last year, but in the last 2 years combined, since Sun Valley started getting involved and sort of like guiding the company, we've gone up almost 10x, 1,000% share price appreciation. So there's, there's the dividends, the buybacks, but also the capital return, the returns that we're delivering to our shareholders. Even after going up 1,000%, we think we're very, very cheap. We are trading at about 4 times EBITDA, 2025 EBITDA, less than 2 times revenue. So we are, I think, the cheapest producer in the Americas. So there's still a lot of value to unlock in this story.
Absolutely. And then even with the growth that you mentioned, right, those numbers will only get cheaper as you guys grow. And in the meantime, the cash flow that you're generating, 200,000 ounces plus, with gold, pushing 5,000, it's certainly a great situation to be in. So with that, Daniel, I wanted to sort of close on in terms of catalysts and things that investors can look for. It sounds like we touched on a lot of them. We always like to say the quarterly production and financial results are a great catalyst. The company is very consistent and cash flowing quite heavily, but maybe you can just summarize a few of the catalysts that investors can look forward to this year.
Perfect. Sounds good, Ben. And I'm gonna actually refer to our financial results that we just released last week. So we had a record $800 million in revenue. We generated about $1 million of EBITDA for every day that we operated in 2025. And we did that at $3,500, less than $3,500 average gold price. So at 5,000, things are looking great. Our objective is to continue returning a lot of value to our shareholders. That's our priority. We are also growing. We're also optimizing our operations. We're building the best version that Mineros has ever been. And we are a 50-year-old company. So very aggressive growth agenda, both in our minds and outside our minds. Optimizing our operations, looking for opportunities globally as well. We have a very healthy cash position. We finished 2025 with about $110 million in cash, also $24 million in our refineries, account receivables from refineries, and practically no debt. So we can take on more projects. We have the team, we have the financial strength, and we have the vision to grow. So that's sort of like a dual strategy where we will continue returning significant value to our shareholders through dividends, hopefully buybacks, capital returns. Hopefully we will continue performing, at a similar pace as we're performing from a share price perspective, and we will be growing organically and inorganically.
Amazing. That's a great summary. And then, like we said, the Porvenir PFS is coming, which I think will paint a pretty good picture with updated metal prices and a revised operation. And then, of course, all of those different internal growth initiatives that you just mentioned. So with that, Daniel, appreciate the time today. For our viewers, if you haven't seen our research on Mineros, you can find that on our website at atriumresearch.ca. And I know that you have a very capable investor relations team over there, and Wilkinson would be more than happy to field questions and interest from investors as well on your end. So again, thanks for the time and best of luck, Daniel, over the next year here. I'm sure we'll catch up sometime later in 2026.
Thanks, Ben, for the opportunity to tell the Mineros story, and hope to continue providing updates and exciting results to everyone.
Amazing. Good luck.